You wanna open up today? Like,
Yeah, let me open.
that's not. No. It's hi guys.
Oh,
Yeah. Hi guys. Welcome back to the Jesus Circle podcast. I'm here with Andreas and AC, Simera, whatever you know me as. And today we're back with another good episode. I almost said we're back with a banger. But yeah. We're back with another good episode, and today we'll be looking at storms. The different kind of storms, the good ones, the bad ones,
the godly storms,
the godly consequence storms. So yeah, you may start. You may start with the first verse.
Yeah.
I'll look at the other one, the second one.
So
it's right here. Starts here.
Okay.
Jesus
walks on the water. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Yeah.
So, you wanna break it down, or should I start?
So let me try see what is what I understand from this is how God sent his disciples first. He was there with them, but he let them go first, so they like to see how they handle it. And if anything did go wrong with that, he'll be there.
Mm.
But what I don't understand, with the parts of it that he goes to pray, maybe if you could explain that part.
what don't you understand about?
Well, yeah, I'm doing a bad job of explaining.
That's cool. That's cool.
Wait, let me. Now you try explain because I'm struggling. Yeah.
But you explaining it. Wait, what did you know? Now I'm questioning what you questioning.
No, I think I just questioned something because I don't know what to say, so I just said something on the spot. So I don't think it was an actual question.
So you did so you just you're just saying things without thinking on what you're saying.
I think so.
Yeah. Cool. Let me try to explain. let me try to break it down. So you see in the storm, right? It was they were led into the storm, right? Not led into they were led into the boat. Jesus put them in the boat and then sent them to the other side, right? He told them to go to the other side. And then they got in the boat out of obedience, right? But like I said before the podcast, the boat that just tells us one important thing. It tells us just because you're obedient doesn't mean you're not gonna face storms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's this new idea in Christianity that because I'm a believer, because I'm following God, because I go to church, because I pray, because I tithe, I'm not gonna face struggles. I'm not gonna face the storms. I'm not gonna be in places I don't want to be in. Sometimes you'll be obedient and then you'll be put in a boat still. That's
leading you to a storm.
But then if you didn't say this, but then let's think about it. In that storm, you're obedient, you're doing the things of God, you're following him, you're going to church, you're doing all of these things. You're righteous, you're doing all of these things. You're trying to be like Christ, right? You're trying to follow him properly. You're doing all of these things. Yeah, I lost my train of thoughts. What was I even about to say?
About how your obedience in the storm and you doing the stuff for God and the godly things.
I lost my train of thoughts. That means maybe God didn't want me to say it. I don't know. But I lost my train of thoughts on that. But it just tells you that even when you're obedient, you'll still face storms. Right? Oh, I was about to say that. I was about to say there's this new day Christianity that's presented to people that says if you're obedient, nothing happens.
Yeah.
But then when the storms come, I feel like that's where the real test of faith happens.
Yeah. No, actually, yeah, you're right.
Because that's where you actually find the ones who
That's
are
where you see if they are really faithful. And when
exactly.
you're at rock bottom, are you still going to look for God?
Are you still gonna depend on God?
On
Are you
Him,
still gonna
yeah.
be obedient? You know what I'm saying? In the storm, I heard who said it? I don't remember who said it. I heard someone say in the storm they were obedient, but then when they saw the storm, they could have turned back in disobedience. So that the storm will test your obedience. When the storm comes, when the struggles come, do you stay obedient? Is the question. I feel like that's where the real test is
So
of your
that's
faith.
also how God tests you and builds your faith to
Yeah.
be stronger.
That's why
Be-
you God tests, the devil tempts.
Mm.
So God will test your faith through that situation, and then the devil will tempt you to disobey. Like in the now
You can say
I'm going in another direction. If we think about in the Garden of Eden, he told them, "Don't eat from the fruit," and then what did he do? He left them alone.
Yeah.
I feel like that was where the test was.
Oh, so he's testing him,
And then what
and
does
then
Satan does?
he came and tempted
Tempts
them to, and
to eat
then
from the fruit.
okay, yeah,
So I feel like in the test, that's where the temptation comes.
yeah.
Because God is gonna test, okay, are these people actually I think the test is attached to the temptation though at the same time. I don't know how.
But I also think you test, like God will test you to see how, like, how strong your faith is. So let's say it isn't and you fail the test. Then you're gonna have to try build it up, or there's other ways where you'll try build that faith up and make it stronger.
So it's the kind of tests where he builds you.
Yeah. It's not like a test where it's like, oh, you failed, okay, I leave you, and you just
It's a kind of test that builds you because you're right. You're actually right. Like in most tests that you put in most struggles, in most storms, you come out learning something new.
Yeah.
If we look at Peter, he learned that in that situation because God called him to walk on the water. He learned that as long as I walk on water, I must keep my eyes on God, right? And when I'm walking on water, I'm going to walk on places that are meant to sink me.
Yeah, and lights. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You learn something out of it. Because I feel like that very moment of him drowning and him walking on water, it did something to his faith.
That was like where it showed him if his faith is fully on God,
Then
he'll
I can
make
walk
it
on
through,
water.
and he'll, no matter what, no matter if I'm drowning, I'll still,
even when I
if I'm
sink,
sinking,
he's there to pull me out. You know what I'm saying? I think it made him have a stronger dependency on God. But then, was that the reason they led to the storm? Possibly. So that he could learn something and he could grow stronger.
Yeah.
The struggle made out of the struggle, he became a better person. It built him up.
The thing I also think with tests is like they will build you up in both ways. So let's say you are faithful and you pass the test.
Right.
You'll, be stronger with faith with God. But now if you also fail it, then you'll look back at it and like have a different view on, or learn something why you failed, or why did I have this test, because he was testing me because I was doing something wrong that was pushing me away. So it's like showing you why, like what I need to change to get closer to God.
Yeah, you learn something that it has to, like we said, the struggle, we have to look at the struggle that comes from God, or the storm that comes from God has to be a kind of storm that leads you closer to him.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a storm that's pushing you away from him. It should be a storm that's leading you to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm struggling, but then in this struggling, I'm growing closer to God. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a season whereby I feel like I don't hear from God or whatever. Now I'm seeking him even more.
Yeah.
now I'm doing things even more. You know,
So
you
it will
struggle
always
and then
lead to him.
yeah, it has to
That's
build
a
something.
godly storm. Yeah.
It's a godly kind of storm,
Yeah.
a storm that he allows for your growth, right?
Yeah.
But then the problem is with Christians who believe in this new Christian idea that okay, it's problem free, it's challenge free,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
nice, it's smooth. The minute the storm comes,
That's when they turn.
they walk
They're
away.
like,
They
yeah.
turn. Exactly.
They're like,
They're in the boat
yeah,
in obedience. They got in the boat in obedience, but when the storm comes, they turn. They fear whatever's happening and they turn. You know what I'm saying? That shows us you need to be obedient even when you're scared.
see, but yeah, see, that's also, it's showing us that, like you said, even when you're scared or something's going wrong,
Yeah,
you still need to be obedient.
exactly. You still
So
need to
you
trust
always
what you
just need to trust him and be obedient, because
exactly
his plan is better than
than
your
yours.
thoughts.
And the thing is, he knows better than you,
Yeah,
and he knows you better than you.
than yourself. Yeah,
That's the big thing. So if the minute you turn around, that's you saying, I know better, I know
then
myself
yeah,
better than
then
you.
you
I know that this situation is gonna bring me harm. Even
yeah,
if you see it different, I'm turning around.
yeah,
That's the kind of like that's where people mess it up. You know what I'm saying? If they turned around, right, Peter wouldn't have walked on water.
yeah,
Peter wouldn't have seen that greatness if they turned. So with Christians, it takes us back to the parable of the sower, right? It talks about the seed that falls on ground, on rocky ground or something
so
like that. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know,
okay,
wrong
okay.
rock, and then it grows up quickly, but it does not get enough root in the ground.
Yeah,
And then when the when the sun comes scorching, it dies,
yeah,
right? That's what it says. That when the sun comes, it dies. So with this very verse, when it says when the storm comes, when the sun comes, it dies. What does the sun represent? Trials, tribulation, the storms, the
yeah,
struggles. And then what does the seed represent? The seed that's planted in you, the
yeah,
maybe the obedience you're in. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It you you're quick to abandon the seed that has been planted in you, right? And then when it's explained, it says those who receive the word with much joy, but um when trials and tribulation come, they walk away. You know what I'm saying? They
yeah.
walk away.
That's yeah,
That's the today's Christians,
yeah,
whereby I'm promised this good type of journey. Because if you look at, I'm not bashing any churches or anything, but if you look at most churches have this thing of like they promise um you'll get blessings, you'll get good
yeah.
things.
They promise all these good things so people come,
Exactly.
and because everyone would rather want something good than
Exactly.
something bad.
Exactly.
So it's kind of them trapping or trying to just get people to come because of the good things they'll get.
Mm. But then in that very thing, you promise good things. What happens when the bad comes? If you've given those people the idea that Christianity is always smooth, it's always nice. That's when they say, I'm under spiritual attack. I'm under spiritual warfare. They call certain struggles things that they're not.
Yeah,
Just because you're struggling doesn't mean that you're going through a spiritual attack. Sometimes you're going through spiritual attack when you're not struggling, when you're comfortable. Sometimes that's what, if we
that's
think about it,
yeah,
when you're lazy, you're sitting down, nothing's happening, nothing's
that's
moving.
actually
That's when you're not growing closer to God. There's something blocking you from getting
yeah,
closer to it. But then we have this idea that the struggle is spiritual warfare. Yeah,
so yeah,
because people, I'm telling you, a lot of, especially in our generation, it's a thing of you struggle, you're under spiritual warfare. You don't struggle, everything is
you,
supposed to be like this. I'm telling you, the struggle is the how do I put it? The the biggest spiritual warfare a person can face is one that they're not aware of.
yeah, because
The
then they
one
don't know what to change and
exactly
where to go. Like So this is harming them, and they don't know
Don't
about
even
it,
come. Exactly. Like
and it's just
laziness.
getting worse and worse.
Exactly. Because if we look at laziness, laziness like it eats you up without you noticing. And I heard this person say, laziness is the arrogance that God will give you the chance to do something He gave you the chance to do today, tomorrow. But then, as the thing is, as the thing of when you're in laziness, there's things that you could be doing to go closer to God. There's things that you could be walking in obedience. You know, you could be planting seeds. You could be taking up the assignment given to you. But then,
Yeah, yeah. Instead, you're just doing nothing.
that's
It's not like you're doing something bad,
yeah,
but you're not doing something to get closer to
eh,
God either.
it's
So
it's the storm that Jonah was in. Because what does the story of Jonah say? It says he was sleeping, so he wasn't even aware of the storm.
yeah. So, and I also think that the storms, both type of storms,
Yeah.
are they impact you the same.
Mm,
Maybe the one a bit worse, but some can be because you're either doing the wrong stuff
mm,
where you're not getting closer to God,
mm,
or you're not doing anything where you're not getting closer to God.
mm. But I think it's a thing of one, you can still have peace when you're inside of. Like if you're in a godly kind of storm, I think you can have peace in such a situation because you can be like, God put me here in the first place, so why should I stress? But if it's a hello, let's look at Jonah. Jonah was given an instruction: go to Nineveh and warn the people about their sin and all of that. And he was like, Nineveh, I'm not going there. Fled, right? He was running away from his assignment. What was that? Disobedience. The storm found him in his disobedience. And in his disobedience, he was comfortable enough to sleep.
Sure.
He was comfortable
Okay,
enough to
that's
sleep without even seeing that, okay, what
thinking
I'm
that
doing
he
is
did is wrong. Sure. So,
until
sure.
God held the
Yeah.
storm.
Then he
That's when he
realized.
was like,
Sure.
this is bad. This is bad. So many Christians think that spiritual warfare, a bad attack is these sorts that I'm seeing, I'm facing. Yeah, 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 yeah. The worst ones,
Everyone he don't know.
it's the ones you sleep in.
Yeah.
It's the ones you sleep in.
See, but like, then how do we know? How do we
That's,
find out? You know?
I think that's the big question. How do we know? With Jonah, he knew, like we said. With Jonah, he knew that
Yeah.
this storm is because I did this.
He knew it was a
He
consequence.
knew it
He
was a
did
consequence.
something wrong, so that's why he's.
It wasn't necessarily spiritual warfare, but rather a consequence following him. It was his
Yeah.
actions catching up to him, not spiritual warfare. It was just his actions catching up to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? His actions caught up to him. You can't say it's spiritual attack. That right there is a bad kind of storm, right? Spiritual attack would be something like let's look at storms and spiritual attacks, right? A spiritual attack would be, what would you say a spiritual attack is before I even answer?
I think, okay, what I understand is where your spirits like get an attack to put you down, to push you away.
Mm.
That's what I don't know how to like elaborate, but that's
Do you
the
think it's
basic
do you
understanding.
think it's usually bad? It's usually crazy, whereby everything is just going wrong.
Yeah, that's like the first when I hear that, that's what I
That's
think.
what you
Yeah,
think. Let's look at a biblical kind of spiritual
yeah,
attack. Adam and Eve. Were things crazy when the spiritual attack happened? Nah,
yeah.
they were tempted. Jesus, was he losing everything? Was everything going crazy when he was spiritually attacked? No, he was tempted. So spiritual attack is take this route instead. It's a better one.
Okay, so it gives you the idea or the choice,
Yeah,
and you make let's say the bad choice.
yeah.
So then it's your fault,
It's your
So
yeah.
it's not getting put on you. It's like the attack is you've been given a choice and you
You can
get tempted into the wrong choice.
you get tempted into the wrong choice. Your free will is used against you. Because that's what happened in the garden. He was like, oh, these people were told not to. The only way that you can only way disobedience is, let's look at Adam and Eve. The only way it was possible for them to disobey was because there was an instruction given to them,
Yeah,
and they didn't
fair,
follow the
fair.
instruction.
So they had the choice to either follow it or not follow it,
Yeah,
and they got tempted to not.
to not follow it,
Yeah.
and then them not following the what is it? The instruction
Yeah.
is what led them to that storm, because they were kicked out of the garden and they had to suffer. That's what led them to the suffering. So it was a suffering that was
So
attached
yeah,
to
okay.
their
And
actions.
the reason for the suffering is to realize what they did was wrong.
I
So
don't
in the
necessarily know
future,
what their struggle was for,
yeah,
but I remember they were told they can't dwell in the garden anymore
okay,
because they would eat more of the fruits they were
yeah.
not supposed to be
So
of.
yeah, see, that's gonna drag them
Even more
more down.
deeper.
So it's like an attack to take you
Protect
away
them.
from, protect
Yeah,
them. So they realize to change or try something different.
exactly. It's a suffering that comes out of God's protection, you know? Because he was just protecting them from doing even more harm to themselves. But that if you look at the storm, it was a storm that was attacked to their own actions. It wasn't a spiritual warfare where they can. The spiritual warfare happened before the storm. The spiritual warfare was something that they had a hand over. If they controlled it here by the spiritual warfare, they would have controlled the storm. You know what I'm saying? There would be no consequence. You know what I'm saying? But the storms that you can't control yourself, the ones that Peter and the disciples were in, right? You can you can control them by being disobedient, I guess.
Or you can make it better by being obedient. Like,
Hey, but it probably got worse because these people, it says
or
they were there for a while.
yeah, maybe the actual storm got worse,
Yeah,
but then like they got better by being
they
obedient. They
got better
got
by
better and
being
they got
obedient.
stronger. But the
Exactly.
actual storms
It just
got
it
worse.
just rolled and rolled. Just became worse. But with Jonah, it was getting worse because he was more disobedient.
So because he
He
did,
was he was sitting
yeah,
in his
okay, okay.
disobedience. So people, not everyone who's in a storm is in a godly kind of storm. Not everyone who's in a storm is in a God is preparing me, God is making me a better person type of storm. Some people are in storms, they're
Because of
struggling
their
because of their
actions.
actions, because of their own actions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's find an example. I'm sick because I ate too much candy. You know what I'm saying? And that's rather a consequence for your actions rather than a kind of this sickness is gonna make me better. It could be mixed in a way,
But
but
it's not like, let's say you get a sickness out of nowhere and
exactly,
then it builds your immune system. This
exactly.
is
That's
one where you ate the candy and that's why you're sick.
yeah,
So it's your
your own actions, your own
actions
disobedience.
that,
Your
yeah.
the suffering is because of you. It has nothing to do with God. You put yourself in that place to suffer. You laid yourself down that road. It's not a You put yourself in a boat that God didn't want you to be on. So now you're suffering. That's
Yeah,
storm
and
one.
until you get out of that boat,
You'll keep
you're gonna
suffering. That boat is the boat of disobedience. And then there's the boat where you put on the boat in obedience. But you still face storms that are meant to prepare you, that are meant to build you. This one is meant to take you back to obedience. This one is meant to build your obedience. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it's a good thing when people face consequences and they see the consequences they're facing. You know,
Yeah.
the
You
problem
see
is
your
when you're like,
actions are wrong.
the problem is when you're like Jonah and you're sleeping in the disobedience. You just, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I'm gonna be relaxed
Yeah.
about what
And
I'm
you
doing.
know, like how we said earlier, how do you know
Mm,
if you know? I think you have to find out. Like you actually have to try look at what you are doing,
mm,
and then you see you're like, oh, well, this is actually what I'm doing, which is leading me away from him.
mm.
So that's when you see and then you try.
I can't see because I'm in the darkness. That means I must move to the light type of
Or
situation.
try get closer
Yeah.
to those obstacles kind of thing.
No,
Or take your time.
no, like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, but in the situation, what I'm saying is, you're in the dark, you can't see out of the darkness type of stuff. I'm lazy. I'm not making much of my time. I'm doing one of these things, and now I'm suffering because of these actions that I'm taking. I'm gonna stop being lazy type of situation, And then there's those ones where you just don't know, you know what I'm saying? You're obedient, but then the storm still come, you know. You even with Jonah, even when he stepped out of the got swallowed by the fish and was led to a place of obedience, but he that happened. But then that didn't mean that he wouldn't face any more storms. He was still gonna face storms, even um in his obedience. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing of which storms would you rather be in? You know, would you rather be in a storm of disobedience, or would you rather be in a storm of obedience? Because the one of disobedience is usually misrepresented by Christians, or both of them are usually misrepresented. Like both of them are called spiritual warfare.
Yeah. But
Not really.
yeah.
One is consequence, and the other is um uh God putting you there
For your benefit.
for your benefit.
To build you up.
Some people are not in a Job type of situation, Job type of um scenario whereby I'm losing everything. I'm under spiritual attack. The enemy, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He's stealing everything of mine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not.
But that's also because you're trying to put it on something else.
It's
Get
it's
a
shift the blame.
yeah, shift the blame.
Shift the blame. They're playing a shift the game type of game.
And that's I think a big thing is you have to
Take
take the
account.
blame. You have to realize what you're doing is wrong. That's the only way you're going to change. Because if you always think it's something else, oh, it's this reason, oh, it's this, you're never going to realize it's actually what I did. So when that comes again, you're going to be like, no, it's that. It's not me where I have to change my view or change my approach to get past it.
Yeah, some of them. I think it's mainly a question of asking yourself: Is it where's the storm leading me? I think that's what's most important to ask yourself, whether be it the bad storm or whether be it the good storm. Because if you ask yourself, where's the storm leading me, then you find out like where how do I put it? These we talked about two storms, right? And we looked at them. Both of them they lead you back to God, right? Both of them they lead you
Yeah.
closer. There are storms that are made or not made, but there to lead you away. You know what I'm saying? No. I don't think there are storms that are made to lead you away, right? I think there are storms that are meant to lead you closer, but because people lack understanding, they are led away.
Yeah.
because
Yeah, so both storms lead you closer.
are supposed to.
Yeah,
They have the potential to.
too. But it's how you take it.
Yeah,
So again, it's your choice.
it's
It's
your
your free
choice.
will of taking it as like am I going to let it lead me closer to God or
Oh
push me
yeah,
away?
yeah. I think that's where we need to look at it. Like the decision you make in the storm, you could choose disobedience, which leads you away. You could choose obedience, which leads you closer. But at the end of the day, the storm can either lead you closer or further away, whether be it a storm of consequence or be it a storm that comes in your obedience. Because if you're in a storm, if you're facing consequences for, let's say, getting in a fight with someone, you got in a fight and you hurt the person and now you're in trouble for it. Now you're suffering because of it. You're being punished, right? You could be, that storm could be put you in a place of being like, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. It's actually wrong. I shouldn't be living this type of lifestyle. I should walk away. I should turn to God. He just follows the way he wants me, the design that he has for me, the plan that he has. Or you could suffer and be like, because they made me suffer, I'm gonna make them suffer also.
Yeah, that's also the it's always looking at that person, that reason, that excuse.
Exactly.
Always looking
Shift
at
the blame.
a way to not put it on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's when people aren't going to change or aren't going to see that they're wrong.
Mm. I think it's also the storms might have a play on your life based on your heart stance. You know what I'm saying? They say the heart is deceitful above all else and it's evil. So if you're a person who leans on your heart for decisions, then you'll find yourself making bad decisions in the storm that lead you away from God. The heart is evil. The heart is
It's like it's routine to just
make
make
bad
that decision
decisions.
and not
Exactly.
see the other
The,
option.
the option you should be seeing. You know what I'm saying? I think it has to do with the heart stance most of the time, where your heart is, right? If you depend on your heart for decisions, then even in every storm, trust you make bad decisions. But if you have a dependency on God and you have this thing of like, okay, what would God want me to do in such a situation?
Yeah, because also if you depend on your heart, you might see this as right. Like your heart sees it as right, but
Because it's
it's not.
deception.
But
They say the
it's
heart is
wrong.
deceptive.
Yeah. So if you've leaned in and been dependent on God, He'll show you what is right
Mm.
and which choice to take. He'll lead you to that choice.
Mm.
But your heart will deceive that choice and make it look good, but it's actually not.
Mm. You just touched on something crazy. And to Eve, eating from the fruit looked like a good decision at the time. So our heart has the same deception and the same evilness that Satan came to the garden with. It's fine, eat from the fruit, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Eat from the fruit, you'll gain knowledge. Eat from the fruit, you'll be like God. It deceives you. See how she was deceived from believing that she's made in the
Tempting
image
you
of God.
even more to make that decision or
Exactly.
take that choice.
Exactly. It leads you into the wrong directions. And then what's the most popular saying in today's generation? Follow your heart.
Yeah.
Bro,
So actually, you're right.
follow your heart. Your heart, you'll be in a storm and you'll make the wrong decisions and you'll stay in the storm.
Yeah.
I've been in the storm for too long. That's because you're depending on your heart.
And also, your heart is something that can change so much.
Yeah.
With the stuff you hear from people,
And
everyone's view is different. So let's say you hear from each person, it all adds to your view. Where
it's just it, you can't find balance while depending on something that's imbalanced. You can't find stability on something that's forever changing, which is the heart. So you can't find, I'm here, I'm forever here, I'm forever this person when you're depending on the heart, because the heart is always taking things in, you know. See, the heart in jail, the minute you're in a storm, and people make this mistake, they get in a storm and they get in their feelings and they make emotional based decisions and it
Yeah,
just
that's the
ruins
worst
everything.
thing to do.
It just messes up everything. If Jonah in the situation was still, if he's still dependent, not dependent on himself, if he stayed with what his heart wanted, which is I'm not going there, I'm gonna disobey God. In that storm, do you realize the storm wouldn't have stopped? Because it said it kept getting worse, it kept getting worse, it kept getting worse, it kept getting worse. So in his disobedience, he would be led into destruction. It would have destroyed. It would have destroyed him. You know what I'm saying? So, like I just said, there's storms that you'll stay in for as long as you're disobedient. They'll just keep getting worse, keep getting worse. Why is my life not getting together? Why is this that? Why is this? Why is this?
Until
Because you're
you
in
make the
disobedience.
you need to make that change.
You need to to turn from whatever's causing that storm. Turn away from it.
Yeah. Because then, like you said, it's not going to go away. It's just going to get worse,
As long
and
as
then
you
it's going
stay.
to become a habit, and then turn into a storm that you forgot about, and you don't even know it is a storm.
But imagine if Jonah stayed sleeping.
Yeah, then it would just carry on.
Worse, worse,
Yeah,
worse, worse, worse. But he wouldn't realize where it's coming from.
yeah,
That's where the problem is. We are a sleeping generation. We're sleeping in disobedience. A lot of people.
and it's also the knowledge. No one wants to learn and understand why.
No one wants to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Let's put it
everyone
like
wants to
that.
fit in and be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
No one wants to be uncomfortable. So if somebody calls you out and he says you're in a storm because you did this, you look at them. They'll look at them like, nah, don't tell us nonsense. And then they'll justify, I'm just in spiritual warfare. Don't you know that spiritual warfare is a thing? It's a thing, but they're not the thing that you're in.
and also, let's say there's 5 people in that store. Like, obviously, each person has a different store, but that person, those people keep each other in the storm. They're like, no, I'm also going through it. It's okay.
Yo, 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 yo,
And then it's
yo,
like
yo, 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 you're
the
right.
influence to
You're
keep you in
right.
there. Because then you feel comfortable. You're like, oh, okay, that person's also in it. So it's okay, I'll stay here.
You're actually right. Some people are yar, yar. They're staying in those, like Daniela said last time, people are, the company is what's
Yeah,
ruining them.
that's the,
Is it like, dog, it's fine, we boys.
yeah,
Or justifying
the
the things that are actually
influence,
putting
yeah.
them in the store. Boy, um, I'm struggling with the same thing. You find
Yeah,
all boys are going through that. All boys have lust.
yeah,
All boys have this. They making you comfortable on in like they're making you find comfort in being in a boat you're not supposed to be
See,
on.
and that's how it also deceives your heart, because you're hearing it right, and then you're like, oh, okay, what I'm doing is okay, and then that's where
Yes.
you don't realize.
In the story of Jonah,
Yeah,
Jonah told them to throw him off, and they didn't throw him off immediately. So they were trying to keep him on that boat. It wasn't because they were trying to protect him, I think. But then they tried to keep on. He told them to throw him over, right? And then they tried. What do you think? Call the thing rowing to the other side. They were like, okay, let's just try rowing and we'll get to the other side. Like you see it, they tried to keep him in the boat that he was not supposed to be on. Like sometimes it's rains, bro. Sometimes you're in the storm because you found comfort, slumber in a place you're not supposed to be in. And the people around you are not even waking you up.
yeah. They're just telling you it's okay.
They're telling you it's okay. You know what
So
I'm saying?
how are you ever going to leave that storm if
You
they
won't.
keeping you there?
You won't.
Sure.
You there, Brad. Man, that's like, yeah, you're there for, bro.
Sure.
It's fine. We're all suffering.
Yeah.
We're all going through this. It's just spiritual warfare. And then you just go deeper into that suffering, deeper, deeper, deeper,
And
deeper,
then
deeper.
I feel like then also other storms, like they stack on each other.
They s-
Because let's say now you see this, you get influenced, and you think, okay, this is right. God, the only way to try make you realize is by bringing another storm. Because you see it as right. What else? Like, let's say you see something as right. If I say nothing to you, you're always going to see that as the right thing. So the only way for me to change your view is by giving you another storm or giving you something else. And then it stacks on each other. So then you just,
more suffering.
yeah,
You just suffer
until you
more.
make that choice to
Turn away.
and be uncomfortable, not
Yeah.
take everyone's view as right
Because
and
I'm
take the
telling you,
truth as the right thing.
this Jonah storm is bad. The Peter storm was also crazy, but
Yeah.
the Jonah storm is bad because if you're in that storm with the wrong people,
Yeah.
you could.
Then you got to stay there.
You
or
could.
If you
They
don't,
stack, they
yeah,
stack, they
sure.
stack, they stack, they stack, they stack. Because all of these people are bringing things that could cause a storm, and then you're combining them in the same boat. You're just combining a whole bunch of wrongs in one boat.
And then everyone's like, no, it's fine.
No, it's fine. Each one of you is like, nah, it's fine. It's normal. It's just it's supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
It's just the sea. The sea is never stable, you know.
Sure.
With the disciples, they were they were all in the same boat in obedience. They all got in the same boat in obedience. So it's a good kind of storm. You know what I'm saying? I'm obedient, you're obedient, he's obedient. And if there's something wrong, we'll call each other out. Right? So it's a storm that's meant to build our obedience. He's obedient, he's obedient, he's obedient. So God is growing all of us at the same time. We're all finding growth at the same time because we have the same quality, which is obedience. And then these other ones, we've all been punished.
See, I feel like there's three, maybe there's probably more, but three like different kind of storms with people around you. Is the one like you just said, is if everyone's building each other up, that type of storm. Then there's the ones we spoke about where everyone thinks it's okay and everyone's storms just pile on each other. And then there's mixed where it's like people tell the other people what they're doing wrong. It's like, no, but this isn't right what you're doing, so you must change. And then that person tells the other person, you know what I mean?
Like David was called out by I don't remember his name, but then David after he sinned, I don't know if it was the sin that he did um with that girl, I forgot her, Bathsheba. I don't remember her name, but then that sin that he did, he had somebody who came and called him out for it because he got the girl pregnant. He cheated with somebody's girl, got the girl pregnant, took the girl's husband, put him in the front of the army knowing he's gonna get killed.
Sure.
That's just sin stacked on each other. After that, he married the girl to hide the sin that he had done. But guess what happened? The child died. The child died. So he was in a storm he was in a kind of um disobedient storm. And he hadn't repented for that storm. So he was still sitting after making disobedient choices. Who called him out? His friend. His friend told him, sorry. So his friend led him back to obedience. So it's a thing of there's a friend who's always gonna tell you, here you're wrong. And you being a friend that's always gonna tell him, here's wrong. Then we both grow. You know what I'm saying? We both grow. We both face storms, but then at the end of the storms, we make good decisions because we hold each other accountable. But then if it's a storm of it's you, it's other people who are living in disobedience and your heart, bad combination. Because
There's no way to get out.
exactly your heart is influencing you to do bad. Your friends are influencing you to do bad. Your friends are influencing you to stay on the boat. It's just you just led towards destruction. It just gets bad.
Yeah.
And in that boat is where you sleep. Because you look at everyone around you and then you justify your actions based on what everyone else is doing. That's where people lose it.
And even if everyone else is doing the wrong thing, they're like, oh, it's okay.
It's okay, I'll keep doing. You know, it's I think it's a kind of generation we live in.
Yeah.
Where we-
Definitely.
Yeah, it's the kind of generation we live in. Because how many people are actually justifying the wrong things based on, oh, the pastor smokes, so I can smoke. Christians are doing it, so I can do it. Yeah, that's the generation we live in, bro. I can wear evil eyes, chakra, what, because everyone's doing it. I can choose because everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
That's the generation we live in. It's the wrong influence.
It's scary because now the influence is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
So,
The influence is even on the boat that's supposed to lead you back to the right place.
yeah.
So how bro, you win bad things. Now you put in a storm. But even in the storm, there's people who are not making you realize that you're in the storm because of your disobedience and you need to turn. It just goes bad. It just spirals out of control from there. It just yo bro. Adam and Eve in the garden. Eve influenced by bad the serpent. Adam influenced by someone who was influenced.
So it's like a chain.
It grows, it grows, it grows, it
You
grows.
influence, I influence.
You
Yeah.
influence because you were in, it's just a
Sure.
chain. That's the generation we live in. It's a chain of people who are influenced. But then the question is, who's the main influence in the whole story? Is it God or is it the enemy?
Sure.
Who's the main influence? You could say you're influenced by a rapper, but think about it. Who's the main influence? Are all these things that are popular in today's day leading us back to God?
Yeah.
They're leading us to obedience.
And I think that's the main point is, or what is it, who's the influence? Or
Who's the main
where is
influence?
it leading you to?
Where is it leading you? Who's the main influence?
That's the big thing to just
Just
look at.
because if we think about it, it's a chain, it's a huge chain. But then there is a point where the chain started. It just grew from there. Where's the start of that chain? Okay, and people should look at it like this. I believe in this thing. I found this chain from this dude. Okay, let's think about it. Let's deepen. Let's say I believe that. Dare I say it? I believe in worshiping ancestors, right? I believe in ancestral worship, let's say. And then I'm influenced by someone else who believes in ancestors, right? One thing I should be doing in such a situation is asking myself, who did this? It's fine. It's a line of people who are influenced into this decision making and this lifestyle. But where does the action? Where's the start of it?
Yeah.
You know, where's the root? And that's where people miss it. They don't look at the roots. They look at parts of the chain, and they're like, this person is a good person, so we can keep this habit.
And
It's
also
fine.
the roots are hidden.
The roots are hidden.
That's
The enemy is very smart. He knows that if it's a chain, people won't look at who's pulling the chain. He's also chained and he's being led to hell. So now he's just extending the chain and passing it on to other people. And everyone else is passing the same chain to everyone else. So that when he gets dragged, they get dragged along with him. That's the thing. But then the storm is supposed to break you free from those chains. But then because you're in a chain of other people who are gonna force you to stay, you'll stay there and be like, nah, it's fine. The person is doing it, that person is doing it, that person is doing it. You're not looking at
The
the root
chain
of it.
is it's holding you down.
It's holding you.
keeping you there.
Thing is, you're looking at the other people in the chain,
Yeah.
and then you're like, it's fine, I can stay here because of the other people. You're not looking at where the chain is taking you,
Yeah.
or who started this chain.
Yeah, that's the main thing. See, where's this chain taking me? Where was the start? Who was the start?
Mm.
And that's when you realize if you must stay in that chain or if you must go.
Because the minute you find where it's leading you, that's when you walk away from the chain. If it's not leading you to a good place, there is no chain that can lead you to a good place, but you find where the chain is linked to, right? Who's pulling this chain, and where is he taking us? I think the minute you find that, then it can alter the decision making,
and that's where the process starts.
Mm.
It won't get good straight away. You won't just be taken away from the chain. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But the thing is also, you have to get yourself out of there.
Mm.
It might be a long process, or you realize and then you're out. So
I'm thinking of something. A lion, or either way, but a lion, or let's see, how long? Let's think about monkeys specifically.
Yeah.
10 monkeys in a cage, right? 10 monkeys in a cage, all born in the same cage, same closed off space, right? One tries to get out. What are the 9 gonna say? Don't. Where you going? Stay here. You're going to danger, because they don't know that outside the cage is actually where freedom is, and inside the cage is where the danger is. You know what I'm saying? Because they were born in the danger, so they think that this danger is the freedom, and they think that the freedom is the danger.
I've also got, now that it's also, do you think that monkey that, let's say, has left, let's say that monkey ignored them and jumped over, got out of the cage, whatever, and he's experienced freedom in that, he's still in the wrong, or well, not as bad if he doesn't go back and tell them.
He's in the wrong if he doesn't go back, because you went out, you tasted freedom, you know that this is freedom, and you know that,
keeping
hey,
it to yourself.
these ones are in danger, and you keep it to yourself. That's bad. It's rather you go back and you pull out maybe 2 more, and the other 7 stay in the cage, and they're like, you're not following. That's how it's gonna be. You'll go back, they'll be like, hey, this person has changed, this person is still alive, survived. And then some are influenced to also leave. And then they leave. The others are like,
They still really be like,
yeah, the others convince each other like, nah, don't go. It's bad out there.
it's better here.
It's better here. Because why? The owner of the cage has convinced them and put a seed in their head that this cage is where freedom is. That's where the flop is. We live in a generation where a lot of people are. We live in a generation where people, like, most of them are in a cage, and they think the sin of cage is freedom, because they feel like, I can do more, I can do more, I can do more, until they actually step into the good things, into righteousness. But as long as they're in this cage, they won't realize that freedom is outside of the cage. They won't realize that freedom is outside of sin. Right? Sin, yeah, it keeps you, it says don't do these other things, yeah, but that's not the actual cage, because sin keeps you from doing what's righteous also. So what's the actual cage? So that's a question that people won't ask themselves. Got what we're gonna do for this episode. We're just gonna have a are black,
And
and just continue the convo, and then because of the
was it?
I don't know, check how long it was. But hey, I just hope we got base on the thing, on the cage topic, and 51 straight. Then we good. We good. So yeah, feels it off.
Well, I think the main thing is just to make sure you don't get deceived and try find the source, find the who's pulling the chain, and then I think that's the only way you'll manage to get out of that storm.
Yeah, get out of boats you're not supposed to be
Yeah.
unless you wanna stay in the storm that you've been in. But rather be but to end it off with the thing like not every storm is an attack. Not every storm is bad.
Yeah,
The
that's
question
also-
is, I could say storms are good. The question is the decisions you make in the storm.
yeah. I think the decisions will make the storm good or bad
Yeah. The storm
Yeah.
can be for you,
Or-
it can be
yeah.
against you.
based on your
You know
decisions.
what I'm saying? It's
as
like
well.
let's look at water. Water can be for you, it can be against you. Water can quench your thirst, water can drown you.
Yeah. It's how you look at it, or
It's what you
also
decide.
how you use it.
So to use what you decide to use it for. So if you use the storm to draw you closer to God, you made the right decision in the storm.
Yeah.
But if you stay in the storm and you stay in your disobedience within the storm, then you've wasted.
So the main thing is know why you're in the storm. Is it because of your consequences?
Is it a consequence or is it God?
Yeah. And where is that storm leading you? Is it leading you further or closer to God?
What is it doing exactly? So
Yeah. Damn.
welcome to the you usually do that part.
Welcome to the Jesus Circle. Oh, is it still?
Yeah.
Oh. And hope to see you guys on the next episode.
So
The technical issues.
issue. Yeah. Welcome to the Jesus Circle. And we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.